And so pondering this problem, I picked up the telephone, called some people that I know at some major U.S. corporations whose names you would instantly recognize, and explained to them that I was confronted with doing a 10-year plan, and do they suppose that I might take a look at their company's 10-year plan? I think you can understand there was a certain hesitance in responding to this until I explained that I did not want to see their present 10-year plan. What I would like to do is take a look at your 10-year plan from 10 years ago. Well, they said, we must have something like that around here somewhere. You know, look around, find a big book, which incidentally didn't look like it had a great deal of use. Pull it out, and what do you suppose, and just accompany me in a little fantasy. Let's pull out the 10-year plan for AT&T, 1974. How to operate this company after the Justice Department has told you to break it up. Or how about the 10-year plan for United Airlines from the early 70s? How to operate an airline after deregulation. You see, my point is that you can take yourself through case after case, and what you find is very frequently those events which had the greatest impact on the company's activities were not even mentioned in the 10-year plan. Now, there's a pretty good explanation for this, since none of us can foresee the future. And you might think about that in two different ways. You might say to yourself, for example, well, we will do a better job. Now, this infers that the people who did that plan were somehow missing a few things. But we know that's not true. As a matter of fact, the plans for those companies were put together by the best people available for such things, and certainly a great deal better than anyone that a little company like ours could ever afford. Now, you might think of it another way and say, well, you know, the 10 years immediately behind us were certainly very turbulent years. But I would submit, if there's one thing on which we can agree unanimously here today, it would be that the 10 years ahead of us are going to be more turbulent than the years behind us. Well, I think you can imagine that I went to see Professor Porsche with all of these sage conclusions, and he allowed us how that was pretty good thinking, but it wasn't getting us toward an answer. And this wasn't his problem, and how did I think we ought to proceed? Well, you know, we heard Coach Valvano yesterday, and you remember one of the things he said is that you can never stay where you are. That's real good advice. I'd say listen to him. I had another gentleman tell me the same thing, sort of indirectly. It was during an interview, and this gives you a little insight into the man who founded this company and the man that I'm working for. A reporter interviewed Professor Porsche and asked him, tell me, Professor, what is your favorite Porsche of all time? And I have to imagine a 76-year-old man who's about done it all in that business answering without hesitation, we haven't built it yet. Now, that kind of gives you an idea of how they think and how he thinks. And so in pursuing the subject, one evening we came to a point in our discussion where I said, Professor, let me give you a little example, which has nothing to do with reality, but perhaps it can clear up my thinking and we can reach agreement on something. And I said, supposing that you were given a choice, black or white, either or, which is, of course, what makes it unrealistic. And choice is the following. On the one hand, you may keep all the physical facilities that this company has ever accumulated, the factories, the laboratories, the tools, everything that's on our balance sheet, but you have to get rid of all the people and restaff everything from the beginning. Choice number two, you have to get rid of all the physical facilities that you've ever invested in, but you get to keep all the people and start over. Which of those two would you rather do? Well, he, not to any great surprise, said, I would, of course, do the second thing. But what he went on to say kind of gave me goose pimples, and even when I think about it today, because it was a little unexpected. He said, because you see, Mr. Schutz, that is what we had to do here after World War II, and so I know that that works. You know, it was made evident to me, take people through tours of our research and development activity, and I remember one time I took several couples through our styling studio, which has all the latest modern three-dimensional computer-aided design, etc. And a lady said to me, you know, Mr. Schutz, I don't know what you would do if you didn't have this facility. And, you know, I told her, I really don't think that that's very important. Because you can take this facility, but if you leave me Tony Lapine and his crew, why, I would move them into a rented garage somewhere, and we would be back in business in a matter of a few weeks, you know, and then we can always get the equipment back. But if you took the people away and left me this facility, I really don't know what I would do with it. Well, what came out of that discussion that evening is I said, you know, Professor, if we really believe the things we are saying, why then are we spending so much time trying to figure out what this company is going to be doing in the future, and we're spending so little time talking about who it is we're looking to do it all? And out of that came a concept I would like to share with you. Because we sat down that day and we said, you know, what would happen if we put together a 10-year plan that has as its basis, its foundation, the concept that we will attract and hold the best people. We will organize the effort so that the people are free to perform, not needlessly burdened by a lot of systems, and we then motivate them so that they want to perform. Having done that, we will then make a conventional plan, recognizing full well that hardly any of that will work the way we now picture it. But if we have our core plan in place, then we will be able to deal with all of the unexpected changes that come at us. Now, we're trying to do that, and like to share some of the things that have happened with you. And I'm not here today to tell you that this is going to work. I think it depends a great deal, not only on the concept, but on the skill with which we can carry it through. And, of course, therein lies the big question mark. But let me first of all say, we very quickly learned that to attract and hold the best people, it was not a question of money. You may attract the best people with money, but you won't hold them. The thing that we have found that it takes to hold good people is an interesting challenge and motivated and enthusiastic leadership. I do not believe that Coach Valvano has a great deal of difficulty attracting the best basketball players to his organization. But that's what it takes. You know, organizing the effort. Now, you know, I only have a half an hour. I'm told you're quick learners. They said, let them have it. I'll give it to you fast. What I think I have learned about organizing the effort is, above all, aside from identifying the functions and pairing them correctly, is to clearly recognize the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. You see, in this definition, efficiency means doing things right. If you don't do things right, you will have difficulty competing cost effectively. Effectiveness means doing the right things. There is a danger in organizing the work so that you become so efficient that you forget to do the right things. And you think that one through about several industries that are in difficulty and where they went wrong. As a matter of fact, you can become so efficient that you can predict to the day that you're going to declare bankruptcy. No problem. It's all there in black and white. But you see, if you tie people down with too many systems, why then they begin to forget what it is they're here to do. Motivation, of course, is the name of the game, and that's a subject for a whole week and months and lifetime.